Good morning, good morning, good morning. It appears that we have some camera issues going on, which is bizarre. Well, let's fix those issues. There we go. That looks a lot better. That looks a lot better. Hello, Muffin to say. I gotta adjust the other camera too. A little bit. Yep. I guess it's a resolution thing. It's a camera resolution thing. See, sometimes I film in 4K and, that works for me. But sometimes when you move over to another profile, it doesn't go well. So that's what happened here. Welcome to Muffin to say. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Needless to say, I am thankful to be here. Hopefully you are too. We're going to talk a little bit about, I don't know, some society stuff today. Not high society stuff, just regular society stuff. I see we got Aircraft Expeditions on over in the YouTube's part of the broadcast. And good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. We also got Chance in the house passing out cookies. I mean, who doesn't love a good cookie? I don't know. Somebody probably doesn't, but that somebody is not me. We got lots of people popping in and out over on TikTok. Hopefully, somebody will stop by and say hello. Man, 4K shows too many wrinkles, Mike. Yeah, well, it is what it is. Unfortunately, that's what happens when you turn 26. Right? I mean, it could be a lot worse. Could be a lot worse. I mean, it could be a lot better. That's, I'm not gonna deny that possibility. It could be better, but it could be a lot worse. Let's see. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not. Yeah. There we go. Could be a lot worse. But, we're gonna go with it. See what happens. Yeah, this is the one I was looking for. There we go. See, we could have a lot more wrinkles. We could have a lot more wrinkles, although this is kind of more of a Day of the Dead sort of thing going on, right? But, Henry Winkler. This is my real look, I think. It's my real look. Oh, anyway. How is everybody doing today? I'm doing fantastic. I was struck last night by an interesting thing that makes me wonder where I don't know. Maybe I've just lived a while and I can remember things that happened in history and the past and even in my own life that make me so unbelievably thankful for the situation and the scenario we live in. I hear so many people talking about how bad things are and how, the news media is talking about inequity and inequality and all this other stuff. And, I see riots and all that sort of stuff happening all over the country. And when you talk to these kids, they talk about those talking points, inequity and inequality. But when you look into these groups, and I guess I'm kind of talking about Antifa and some of those other groups like that, and you ask, well, what do you want? Well, they're communists. These people are communists. And so it's like, all right, most of them are college educated, so they can read. they should be able to, check out history books and stuff like that. Like, I understand the concept of fairness and communist. I know how it's supposed to work. But, like, we've seen communism in practice multiple times throughout the history of the world. And while it seems like a really super fair system and everything else, communism is responsible for the murder of more people in human history than, any other quote-unquote system other than, authoritarianism or dictatorship or anything like that. So, communism has killed way more people than fascism. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close. So, that's not somebody putting a feather in their cap to be a fascist, because it's not it doesn't work either. But I mean, communism has been attempted and tried multiple times over and over again by people who meant well, theoretically, and thought it was a better system than capitalism or some other form of government. And every time, millions of people just die. Because the only way it really works is if you force people to comply. And then the people in power realize that you can't kill enough people to force people to comply. It's just not how humans work. It's just not how humans work, because the more people that you kill, the more people who actually were on board start to question whether they really want to be on board. So they fall off, and then you've got to kill them too. So that's how communism works, So while I understand that they're upset about the way that the system works and the way that things are and all that stuff, I get that. I mean, life isn't fair. It really isn't. However, the capitalist system that we function under, while imperfect, has enabled us to build a society that is by far the most fair that has ever existed in human history. Is it perfect? Not even almost. Not even almost. However, it is about as close to giving the ability for every single human who is born into that system the ability, the chance to be successful. In fact, to rise to the very top of society. There is no other system. There is no other system that gives you the ability to do that unless you're born into it. So, you have the ability. So, that doesn't mean it's fair. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that if you're willing to push the boundaries and work hard and do all the things that you need to do, you could be successful in a capitalist system. Whereas in a communist system or a socialist system or any system like that, first of all, it certainly does not encourage you to be successful or anything like that. But secondly, why would it? Because it's not a thing that you can't climb the system. The system is the system. You're born where you're born, and that's where you are, and that's all there is to it. How is that fair? I don't know. Everybody is the same. But if the same is crappy, if the same is miserable, if the same is in poverty, then what makes that a better system than a system where, can you live in poverty? Yup, you can. If you do absolutely nothing in the American system or in any capitalist system, if you offer nothing to society, you will get absolutely nothing back. In fact, I would argue that people who do nothing in American society get way more back than they contribute. Way more. Way more, If you do nothing in a communist society, it doesn't matter. You're still in poverty. If you work hard and you create things that help society in a communist society, it doesn't matter. You're still poor. That's the way that works. Wouldn't you rather have the chance to amass, incredible success and wealth? Wouldn't you rather the chance at that than just being born poor, living poor, staying poor? I'm pretty sure I know what I would choose. But boy, there's a lot of angry young people out there who somehow will make the argument that we just haven't done it right yet. And that's just not true. You can't do it right because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The economics of it don't work. Price controls don't work. All price controls do is guarantee that we're all going to starve at some point. We're all going to be hungry, and we're all going to be poor. It's not because it's fair, because it's not fair. It sucks. But, an unfair system that is checked and regulated by factors that we can't possibly control is still the most fair system, because price controls means that if there's a shortage, the price goes up. If there's not a shortage, the price goes down. I understand the whole argument by these folks that price controls are happening on the other side of the fence, and that may be true, but you can't have the government step in and set those prices. And the simple factor or reason for that is because then nobody's encouraged to make any of those things. And then when those things aren't made, then all of our lives are less fulfilling, less good. It is what it is. It's simple economics. The price is the price. The price sets the market. And if the price is too low, then people stop making a certain item because it doesn't make sense. And when the price rises, people will make that item. And if too many people make that item, then they sit on the shelf because it costs too much. And then it automatically forces those companies to make less of that item. That's just how the market works. Prices are what control the market. And when you set a price and say this is what it is, it doesn't encourage any... It doesn't give the manufacturer or the people buying any visible way to know how many to make, how many not to make. It destroys an entire section of the economy. It just does. It just does. Now, I understand most of the argument for price controls goes towards meds and drugs and that sort of stuff. And I do agree that people who need insulin should never have to worry about getting it ever. And that's some of the things that we could do better as a society, as a system. We could definitely do better, but you can't do that with the whole. There's a reason why communism fails over and over and over and over again. And that's because the government cannot control prices. When they do, people starve. That's just the way it is. And I wish all these folks would actually go and read a history book. So when I titled this video, Are You Thankful? I got that idea because every single day we wake up in this country and, today is my wife's birthday. And we don't really celebrate birthdays around here because I feel like when you get to be this age, there's really not a whole lot to celebrate other than the fact that we're on the north side of the dirt. That's fun to celebrate. But we do go out to dinner. And it got me thinking, I've probably left more food on the table in a month, because I just had my daughter's wedding and we go out to dinner every Friday and stuff, and I just haven't been all that hungry. And we go out to dinner, still order food even when I'm not hungry, and I've left more of that food. I've left so much food on the table than some people in poor countries probably see in a month. I'm not proud of that, I'm not excited about it. I'm not bragging about it. It's incredibly wasteful. But holy mackerel, and am I extremely thankful that I live within a system and a country that has that kind of means to be able to afford to order food and leave it on the table. Because there are a lot of countries that are like, geez, we're having potatoes for the 17th day in a row. Or, boy, I'm so thankful that we get bland rice again today. Because they're just thankful that they get to eat while we are leaving food on the table. I mean, I think this is what a lot of these folks who are, rioting and angsty or whatever, I think this is what they don't understand. They don't understand because they obviously cannot imagine what people in these other systems or in these other countries live like. They can't imagine that. And to me, it's like, if you can't imagine it, it's because you're just walking around with your eyes closed. You don't want to imagine it. You don't want to think about it because some college professor told you about all the inequities of the U.S. system and all that stuff. And believe me, those inequities do exist. However, they're worse under other systems. And so is death. And so is starvation. All of that stuff is worse under other systems. Under this system, it's not perfect. It's not fair. But it's better than any other system that's been found. So instead of these folks trying to, I just don't understand the thought process, and I can't believe there's so many college professors who are communists. How can you, I don't know. You got to be living in a fantasy world if you truly believe that any of that will ever fix anything. Because it's been done. It's been tried. It's the most murderous form of society or government that's ever existed. I mean, and they continue to advocate for it. I don't understand it. So you guys are going to have to, because I feel like you can only advocate for a system like that if you're not thankful. If you're unthankful, ungrateful for everything that you already have. And I find it really, really, really difficult to believe that people in this country who maybe live in poverty don't understand that their level of poverty, walking around with a $1,500 cell phone, having access to Wi-Fi, having a computer, being able to get on the internet all day, and having access to so much abundance of food and everything else. That level of poverty, even if you're struggling to put food on the table, is infinitely better than all the other forms of government's poverty that you will ever see. Infinitely better. I mean, people would still argue that poor people in this country still have the same first world problems. Because we do. We do. The poor in this country still have cell phones. They still have, all of those things. Whereas, in in other countries, they're not so lucky. They're not even remotely close to that lucky. But you know what? That's my opinion. It's my opinion, and I would really like to know what you guys think. What do you guys think? Am I off track? Am I off base? Should we not be thankful that we live in a system that, while it's not fair, it enables every single person living here, irregardless of religion or skin color or sex or lack thereof, I suppose we have to say these days, the opportunity to be successful, to be somebody, to contribute to society, to possibly change the world. Every single person has that opportunity. Some people are born with more money or into a family with more money. Some people are born into families with less money. Yes, there's always going to be that inequity. But shockingly, that's the same kind of inequity that you get in a communist system when you're born into a family that is a member of, the aristocracy, so to speak. you know, he's going to always have more opportunities than just the common man who communism starves to death. How's that any different? I don't understand. And I could tell you how it's any different, because the common man that's born into poverty in communism has no chance to better his life. None. That's it. He is where he is. He's going to go to work, he's going to do what he's told to do, and he's going to die. And that's the way it is. In America, you could be born in the back seat of the car that your parents live in, and someday you could be president. Or someday you could be a billionaire. Is it an easy road? Nope. Not even almost easy. However, it is possible. And capitalism and this system of living is the only one that ever gave you that opportunity. And for that we should be thankful. For that we need to be thankful. For that all these young people who are angry and communists, they need to understand that. They need to understand that they're advocating for a system where you're poor. Period. Is everybody the same? Pretty much. Unless you're running the system, everybody is poor. That's it. There's no success. There's no wealth. There's none of that. You're poor. And you're going to be happy being poor because everybody else is poor too. And you don't have any control over your life at all. Hey, you can make bad choices in the U.S., in the system, in the capitalist system. You can make bad choices if you want. You can end up losing everything. But those are your choices. You can also make great choices and end up having incredible success. All it really takes is to do something that benefits society. And you can be successful in this country. That's my opinion. Noise Boys was in the house. I don't know if you guys are still here, but welcome, welcome, welcome. Awesome to see you. We still got AE. Yeah, I don't disagree that inflation makes the rich richer. However, inflation can make the poor richer too if they're invested. We all have the same opportunity. That's my point. Fairness in the opportunity is available. Yes. These people, these people in these groups, they want equal opportunity. That's what they're saying. But we already have equal opportunity, right? We just don't have equal circumstance. So what they really want is equal outcome. And that's why they love communism. Because everybody has an equal outcome. It's called poverty. That's how communism works. Everyone has the same opportunity and everyone has the same outcome because everyone's poor. And it's never getting better. It's not going to get better. That's not how communism works. You're just poor. And that guy's poor and that guy's poor. And that's how it is. So if they think that that's better because they have an equal opportunity and an equal outcome, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm thankful every single day that we live in a system where that's not how it works. I may have a more difficult time creating or getting the opportunity. But when I get it, I have access to any opportunity that I want. And that's not because of my skin color, because quite frankly, my kids don't have this skin color. The people that my kids marry don't have this skin color. None of that matters. What matters is attitude and and whether you're gonna go out there and just get it, just grab it. It doesn't matter your sexuality, your skin color, anything like that. You can be successful in this country. You can be successful in this country if you're willing to work for it, if you're willing to do something that makes society better, if you're interested in trying to solve people's problems. You can make lots of money in this country, and none of that other stuff matters. None of it matters. I know that your politicians want to tell you it matters. I know for sure that your stupid college professors are trying to tell you that all that stuff matters. The reality at the end of the day is the only thing that matters is you and your mindset. Because if you believe that you can't do something, you're right. Every time. Every time. And if you believe that you can do something, you're right. You'll find a way. I had so many people tell me there's no way you could be successful on YouTube. There's no way. I don't get it. I don't even know how it works. How are you going to do that? What are you going to do? I don't know. I got a channel with 250,000 subscribers. Does all right. Has its ups. Has its downs. I did what everybody said I couldn't do. Why? I'm too stupid to give up. I just kept working. That's the bottom line. I'm too stupid to give up. I just kept working and working and working until I got to where I wanted to be. And you can do it too. Doesn't matter your skin color, your sexuality, anything like that. Do something that makes society better, that offers value to other people, and you can find success. That's the bottom line. And you know what? I am so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for that opportunity because there are 1,000 other countries that are on this big rotating ball. And so many of them do not have that same opportunity. They just don't. They just don't. So I'm thankful that we do. I'm very thankful. And I'm hopeful that you're thankful too. Man, I've been on here doing this already for a half an hour. That's crazy. Crazy. But, you know, it gets old talking to yourself. I welcome all of you guys to participate in the conversation by letting me know what you think about any of this. Are you thankful for the system we live in, or do you want to change it? Are you looking for socialism or communism or one of the other isms that are out there? You know, I hear the word fascism thrown out a lot these days. I think that the word is thrown out by people who don't really know what fascism is. They have no idea. They have no idea what fascism is. So it kind of makes me laugh because the party of individuals who are best known for fascism, that being the Nazis, were socialists. You know, so that was what they were. That's what they were. And a lot of the people that they are calling fascists in this country are dead set against socialism. They don't want to have anything to do with socialism. They're pretty thankful that we live in a system the way that it is. You know, so what does that say about these people throwing those terms around? Well, they're just basically using basically communist tactics right out of the Communist Manifesto. You know, it doesn't matter what the facts are. We're just gonna shout people down and use terms that scare people and everything else in order to silence people who would speak out. And it works. It works really good. Because nobody wants to be called a Nazi or a fascist. But I watched a video the other day which I found incredibly interesting. And that video basically talked about the political divide that we have in this country, because it doesn't really matter whether you're a conservative or a liberal. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. If you are engaging in online politics for a very large percentage of your day, it says something that's not really good about your well-being, so to speak. And I'm not saying this. I'm telling you what this study said. And then it talked at length about the types of folks who are involved in this divide and invested in this divide, and how they would basically be like, we're talking about conservatives who are incredible at math, or liberals who are incredible at math. And when those math problems were specifically related to political ideas or theories, they would automatically get or they would purposely get math problems wrong if they were structured in such a way as it went against their political beliefs. For example, gun control. Needless to say, if the gun argument math problem directly supported gun control, certain people would get those problems correct every single time, while people who weren't for gun control would somehow magically forget how math works when answering those questions. This is a legit study, and it worked the same both ways. It didn't matter, whether you were left or right. You would automatically adjust how math works based on your political beliefs. And this is the kind of, that's not normal. That's not normal. Rational people don't do that. And it shows you how much people don't eat. It basically shows you that if you're online arguing politics, you're wasting your time. Because you're arguing politics with people who will fudge the math so that they can think they're right. You're not changing their mind. You're never changing their mind. And it doesn't matter whether you're on the left or the right. It was the same result either way. You change the question to favor the kind of politics the other person was like, and magically they get it all right. While the other team, or whatever you want to call it, would start to use funny math. It's just the way it is. It's a simple fact. So don't bother going out there to X and arguing politics and everything else all day long, because you're not changing anybody's mind. You're never changing anybody's mind that way. It's never going to happen. All you're really doing is contributing to the anxiety and angst that everybody has. And if more people would realize that they were part of that cycle, that they were online arguing against people who would answer math problems incorrectly if it served their narrative, so they're never going to change their mind. If you're out there arguing with those people, you're not doing anybody any good. You're getting yourself wound up for no reason. So don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't participate. Don't get involved. Just step back and say, yeah, no, we don't need one more voice yelling into the void at people who are too brain dead to actually think for themselves or think critically. Because that's what's going on. That's all that's happening. You can go over to Twitter right now, and you're going to see people doing exactly that. Yelling at each other, and even using all kinds of news articles and studies and everything else, that irregardless of what you do, the other person is not going to read it. And if they do, they're not going to believe it, because they're going to do funny math in their head that justifies their position. You're just wasting your time. Just wasting your time. So I think if more people do what I do, which is realize I'm not going to be a part of that system, and just takes a huge step back. I don't know. Maybe we come together more as a people. Maybe people start to realize that that's what's going on. And, you know, when you think that people are just stupid, when you see these arguments online, you're right. You're right. The people doing it are the lowest common denominator. They're the kind of people who would do funny math to try to prove their point. You can't argue with that. So don't bother. Just step back. Just walk away. You can't. You can't. And this is not a knock on anybody out there in this audience who does that. Just realize it. Just say, hey, I do that. Okay. Now you can change. Now you can just walk away. Now you can critically think about stuff. Now you can actually read that article that you disagree with, and instead of trying to put together fuzzy math, you know, just read it for what it is. Have an open mind. Maybe it changes your mind. There's nothing wrong with that, because the facts don't lie. They just don't. And you can, and you know, why are you going to argue? Excuse me. Why are you going to argue with someone online that's willing to do funny math to prove their point? You're never going to change their mind. So just walk away. You're arguing with the dumbest of the dumb. People who are incapable of critically thinking. So there you go. And I thought that study was absolutely fascinating. It's another thing I'm thankful for, though. We can go online and we can point and laugh at people, stupid people, I guess you would call it. People still have the right to be stupid. They have the right to say stupid things. They have the right to be an idiot. You know what? In other systems, people get killed for that. People get killed for, you live in a Sharia system or something like that. People get killed for a lot of things that we accept in this country and offer all the opportunity and everything to. You know, being gay, being lesbian, being whatever sexuality you decide. You want to be a man who dresses like a woman, or a woman who dresses like a man. You can do all that here. You can do all that stuff here. Are some people going to give you the side eye? Yep. So what? So what? Those people don't have any power. None of these people have any power. But you know what? In the Sharia system, they do. And they'll kill you. End of story. End of story. I mean, I see so many people talking about how white supremacy is like this big thing in this country. Oh my God, it's horrible. You know what? When was the last time that you met, you know, a hood-wearing KKK member who had any power? I still haven't found one. I still have not found that skinhead bigot that has any power at all. These guys are flipping burgers at McDonald's. They have no power. So where these people see these massive organizations that are controlling this or controlling that, just stop. Just stop. Do they exist? Sure, they do. But again, they have no power. You guys are giving them more power than they have. Just don't. Just don't. They're allowed to be bigots, fine. But they're also allowed to not have jobs. They're allowed to work on loading docks at some this or that. You know? Whatever. They don't have any power. So, and I would find me somebody who does. I'm still waiting. There's always the comment section down below. If you know somebody, one of these card-carrying members out there, if you know somebody, and I'm not just talking about somebody you think, or somebody who says things you don't like, or anything, so find me a real white supremacist. Find them for me. Especially, not just any, because I don't care. They exist. Find me one with power. And then we'll talk. Because I could tell you right now that there are a lot of people that have anger and angst and hate for this country because their perception of what they think that is. But they can't intubate it. They can't find the boogeyman. They just tell you he exists. Hey, I'm not telling you he doesn't exist. I'm telling you he doesn't have any power. Those days are long gone. They've been gone for 20 years. Those days evaporated in the late 80s, early 90s. Those people are gone from any position of power. So it's time to just stop. It's time to move on. But that's just my opinion. Maybe you know different, and you're going to tell me in the comments. We'll see. Either way, this has been Muffin to Say, and boy, I sure did talk a lot today. I'm very passionate about this subject, and the reason why is because I love this country, and I love this system, not because it's perfect, but because, first of all, the system gives us the ability to improve it every day. It gives us the ability to make arguments and to have conversations that can improve this system and make it better every single day. But even more so, it is a system that's created more wealth and more success and more even distribution than any other system has ever created. It's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. We can tweak it, make it better, but the last thing that we really want to do is throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, and trash the whole system because some things are broken. Yeah, some things are broken. Some things can definitely be improved. But there isn't any other system on earth that has created the kind of wealth and success and opportunity for every member of its system than the one we have here. And I'm thankful for it, and I hope that you guys are too. I love you guys. This is Muffin to Say. Don't hesitate. Subscribe. Pop by. We do this a couple times a week. I have fun with it. And, man, it's been a great time. Love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. And you know what? We're going to see you probably next week sometime. We're going to do it again. Love you. Take care. Bye-bye now.